In Hindi, it has been happening for much longer. In Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, it's
Last
22, two
3
years,
years,
3 years.
yeah.
So,
Baby steps.
Yeah.
for us to get like a mainstream hero.
I was just going to ask you
so
that.
that
yeah.
is still, I think, a couple of years away. That, what do I get out of this?
Okay.
So, because in long form storytelling, usually the focus is on the story. In cinema, the focus is to a large extent on
Yeah.
the protagonist.
Make it sensational, or like, whoever is watching it shouldn't get like,
Are we going from somebody who's sensitively trying to portray something, or is it becoming voyeuristic, where he has worked in
with
NGOs
NGOs
and
Yeah.
stuff?
Oh, then
So
it helps.
he has a natural understanding of that.
no sense about, so let's just play around, okay? I think now as a medium itself, some maturity is happening.
Yeah,
It's not like those things work, you actually need to tell a story.
Hi, this is Bhavna, and you're watching India Today. Well, after the fantastic first season of Suzhal, the Vortex, they are back with second season, and here I am sitting with the creators of the very well-made, awarded show as well, Pushkar and Gayatri. Firstly, a huge welcome to India Today.
Hi.
How are
Thank you.
both of
Hi,
you?
hi.
I met you for the first time for Suzhal.
Right.
And
right.
now we are again meeting, and we met a couple of times in between as well. So
Right.
this is like family right now to me. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah, excited for this to come out, and
Yeah.
waiting to see how the
How
audience,
people
the
react.
viewers take it in. And
I think this time around you're prepared that people are going to love it, because the first time you kind of know that they really liked it, right? But also it kind of paved the way for the original Tamil language series on OTT platform, right? You did not know what to expect back then when it first came, but now you know what to. But between the first season and second season, what is the biggest takeaway that you took, or the feedback that you took from first season and you incorporated in second? You were like, okay, this is something we could do now, which we perhaps didn't attempt in the first one.
I think one thing, not exactly, like one thing, like audience attention span has also gone down. So, we usually take a little more time in establishing the world.
Correct.
So in season one, the factory and like the different characters and the lines, we took a little bit. I mean, there was a fire, there was action, but still we took a little bit to come to the main thing.
Right.
So here what we've done is we've, what the story is about now, that we've moved it much forward. So
Right.
like you start and like within like a few,
Yeah.
like 10 minutes or so, you know where you're getting to. I think
Yeah.
that is
So I think
something,
that's one thing which is also the nature of the beast. So in season one, there was a big reveal, a big plot turn in the midpoint,
Yeah.
which then informed the rest of the season. Now we are thinking that setting up the story, and that eventually becomes what the series is about,
Correct.
right? So now, and it's also been a maturation period of the OTT space in India.
Yeah.
And now I think the thinking is you bring those things in early.
Yeah.
And we follow a non-linear structure, right? You can jump back and forth in time, and like you can tell scenes which have happened in the past of even characters who are not there anymore. So those things we can use to a larger extent now. The planting of the hook, I think, needs to happen earlier because especially for an audience who's not familiar with that space,
Right.
you need to build the world.
Yeah.
But is it at the cost of the first hook landing?
Correct.
So now we are trying to maintain that balance where you set up the world and get to the hook, and then continue the world building for a little more while, and you plan the next hook in.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you learn as you go forward
But
with
that's
things.
the trick, right?
Yeah,
Like with every season, you only get better, and that is what we are also expecting as audience, right? But though I remember watching the first season, and literally after every episode, feeling a sense of urgency to see what next, because you want to see where this is going, but at the same time be a little cautious. I don't know what to expect, because it is something like that, right? That's the intention.
Right.
This time around, the world was built in the first part. This time around, we are adding on to that world, right? What was that one thing which you found a bit more challenging? Because it is always said that the first time around, because no one is familiar with that world, you have the liberty to take it around as an how you want it to. But now that the world is set, you have to stick to a certain kind of grammar to know that, because this
Yeah.
is the world that you have built. So that is challenging.
Actually, yeah, it gets very challenging. Like somewhere you want not just the optics of the show, not just the scale of the show,
Yeah.
the scale of the story also to kind of
Absolutely,
like, boom.
yes.
So like we were playing with a bunch of characters in season 1.
Yeah.
So this one we've like picked up more balls. So the juggling gets like picked up more balls. So like the story anchors, or we are seeing it through Kadir and
Yeah.
Aishwarya. That's Sakra and Nandini. So we need to give them their arc, and that is
Yeah.
primary thing. And apart from that, we have like a bunch of other characters. Like we have these 8 women, strong women characters. So see, everybody has to have an importance and an arc and all that. No? So juggling those balls,
Yeah.
like juggling so many characters, but having a moment of grace, not for, I mean, these are still main characters. Like we have there's another cop
Absolutely,
character.
yeah.
So that actually, writing wise also, no, that was quite challenging.
Yeah.
I think that was.
And see, the world which we are creating, we had a festival in the first part. Now there is another festival, another
Right.
kind
In different
of
part, yeah.
It's in a different town.
Yeah.
But if you see, most festivals in India will boil down to certain things which are common, like what happens on a day-by-day basis, what are the particular things which happen. And if you take Tamil Nadu, there will be a lot of similarities. So how do you give visuals and events within the festival which will still remain unique, but not so unique that you have to rebuild the whole world?
Right.
So one of the things was, season 1 was in hill country. It was in the mountains, and the festival which
Right.
happens over there. Here, the festival happens by a beachside. So the very visuals will end up looking very different, because
True.
all that is night and dark.
Yeah.
This
This
is
is more like during the
play.
day and like,
Yeah.
yeah.
and that also happens to the aesthetics of the whole thing.
Right.
So where you have a foreboding dark mystery over there, now how can you show that with a different kind of aesthetics?
Like it's all bright and
Yeah,
sunny
yeah,
and blue.
yeah.
But
no?
still
So the
you should
mood
feel-
also changes.
Yeah. So those things were very conscious decisions which
Yeah.
we had to take, so that there's a visual difference, but it still sticks to the
Yeah.
same universe of what's happening in terms of
True.
how you play out the story.
But also a sense of something about your writing which really struck me is how you balance the sensitivity while you're also trying to show the extreme harshness of the crime as well, right? Like you are not compromising on that, but also yet the story is being told from a very sensitive point of view, because there are girls involved and there is a serious crime involved in this. Sometimes does it become, because you can go as gore as you want, because this is eventually a crime thriller, but you still maintain a sense of sensitivity. Is it challenging though to have that balance where you know that you can take it as far as you want, but yet you decide that this is the full stop for you, at least in your
I
head?
think, I mean, writing wise, and I think to a great extent, our directors also come
Yeah,
into play
yeah.
with that. So the thing is, no, we can't make it sensational, or like, whoever is watching it shouldn't get like, they should be there. I mean, it should be deeply upsetting, disturbing, but it's a very, very fine line. It
Yeah.
shouldn't like even vaguely cross that way,
Yeah.
Then your whole point of saying the story is, then you become one of those people who are exploiting the situation. So
True.
that
Yeah.
it is like
I
actually
think that is
pointless.
one line which we keep defining to ourselves. Are we going from somebody who's sensitively trying to portray something,
Yeah.
or is it becoming voyeuristic?
Yeah.
And this is a line which is different for everybody. I mean,
True.
some people, like, actually we have a way higher tolerance of that. We love extremely violent films. We love to see blood
Yeah.
splurting everywhere.
Yeah.
But would we make something like that? No. I mean, we are the audience for that, but we can't be the writers on something
Right,
like that.
right.
Because I think somewhere we are still trying to create the same mood, but without having to get into that sensational way of looking at it.
Correct.
And especially with subjects
Which are very-
which can be traumatic to a
Yeah.
lot of people who have
True.
lived through that experience.
True.
One of the things which we try to do is, can we look at it from a survivor's point of view and still watch it?
Yeah.
Now, it might not be possible for every survivor to say
Yeah.
what they did is acceptable to me. But we are going with that, at least that
On an
intention.
average, I mean,
Yeah.
you
At
can
least
only, yeah.
intention is like,
Yeah.
you know, there, at no point of time should we capitalize on anything.
Yeah,
We should,
true, true.
And the thing is like, if you shy away from it too much also, no, then the impact is lost.
Yeah.
What it needs to make a visceral impact.
Yeah.
So it's
That's why I say
especially-
it's very challenging.
Yeah, actually, and that with the directors and the DOP, we have like huge discussions, and usually those shoots we are also there. You know, then there
Okay.
is clarity.
Yeah,
And
so we are all on
Like,
the same page on that, and with our directors are get that the need for being very sensitive on that, and Brahma especially comes from a background where he has worked
worked
in
with
NGOs
NGOs and
Yeah,
stuff
oh,
like that.
there- it
so
helps.
he has a natural understanding of that. And Sarjun, who's the other director on this season, Sarjun has actually done short films which have been very, very sensitive. His
Okay.
films have been very sensitive to survivors.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons we wanted to work with them
I mean,
also.
yeah, like at least for this story, no, you need to work with people who see it in a certain way. I mean,
Absolutely.
otherwise, yeah.
But what is that one? Because is this condition or this limitation in your head only limited to OTT, or is it also for films? Because you know the audience is slightly different. I think the barometer that they have or the endurance for violence is different when it comes to films and versus OTT. Do you also keep that in mind?
Because see, when you're seeing it in the theater, no, it is watching something larger than life.
Yeah.
When you watch it in your phone or on your TV or on your laptop, it's actually much closer to reality
Yeah.
for you, and it's a perception of the medium. And you will have to understand that difference.
True.
See, eventually the same feature film will be seen on TV, will be seen on OTT platforms and all that. But your first viewing experience, if it is
yeah.
larger, you can actually get away with a lot more stuff over there, because there is that, this is not me. This is not
True.
me in that position.
True.
It is this larger than life character who is doing this.
And we have no problem with violence.
Yeah.
Violence on screen is absolutely no problem. But sensitive issues, you
True.
can't, make it voyeuristic. That's the only thing.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
But thank you for doing that, because you know, especially after getting the kind of adulation you've got for the first season as well, it's not easy to keep up the momentum and be authentic to what you started off with. Because you know, once you get that success, everyone is like, now you can do more. Now you can. There are more budgets. You can just do whatever you want, and it is tempting.
I think
You
OTT got a bad rep in the beginning of its cycle. If you see mid 2015, 16,
Right.
17, a lot of shows came in which just use the fact that there is no censor, there is no oversight to, I would say, their advantage, disadvantage kinds. So somewhere OTT got branded as that stuff which will show sleaze on screen.
so how we
Now-
look at it was like, you know,
Yeah.
it was just growing up. So it was like teens. Parents are out, so let's have a party at home kind
Yeah,
of thing. You know,
true,
no censor board, so let's just play around kind. But I
Also-
think now, as a medium itself, some maturity is happening.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like those things work. You know, you actually need to tell a story
Absolutely.
and say it well. So I think
Yeah.
that
Now
is,
they have work to do, they have monies to earn, so now they become adults.
No, and there, to a lot of extent, I think there's a self-censorship which
Yeah.
every director, creator has themselves put in, because
Yeah.
they know this is what we give or we are known for, and let's stick to that
Yeah.
in that way,
Right,
within
right.
that barometer. And I think with this, again, like, it's actually a crime thriller, but for me personally, I also feel it's a psychological thriller, because it's continuously playing with your mind, right? How psychological thrillers are very, very difficult to even make when this is particularly about crime, but also playing with your psyche. Just tell me the way, I mean, your process of just writing it and understanding it, because this is a world that can absorb you as writers as well. How do you detach yourself from writing?
So the first thing is, who are you seeing the story through? So for any psychological thriller, it can't be an unbiased viewer who's seeing that.
Right.
So the first thing you create is, what is your in into the story? In Suzhal, it is two ins. One is Nandini and the other is
Yeah.
Sakrai. So you see the world through one of their two
Yeah.
eyes, and you keep switching between the two. And what Sakra sees is the reality which the audience is also seeing.
Right.
So when you do that, when you invest in that character's viewpoint, now it becomes that much easier to mislead, to bring in the red herrings and all that, because you're seeing it from a particular perspective.
Right.
So this is the perspective of a cop, wide-eyed. He believes in certain things. He thinks he knows everybody, and now you are that person.
Right.
So
then towards the end of the season, his whole basement, like his whole foundation of like his beliefs is like
He's
kind of
shaken,
shattered.
yeah.
So from season 2, we are picking him from there.
Yeah.
So a cop who was like, who was wide-eyed and innocent has become mature in a way.
Yeah.
And with that maturity, he looks at this world. Then where he ends up now, his arc.
Now his
So,
arc.
and you're seeing it through his eyes. So he is new to the town.
Yeah.
He is new to the, ethos of the town. And he is seeing, so you're
But
seeing
he's
it
not
through the way.
naive anymore.
no, he's
So
not.
he's
So
not.
they,
So
it starts
that
from
is where
that.
it
Yeah,
will be
yeah,
different.
yeah.
And another tool which we use is that, so now once you get into that point of view, into that perspective, what other characters tell Sakrai will be the truth.
Yeah.
So the journey is in finding that person and getting that person to talk.
Right.
As soon as the person starts talking, now it will be the truth. So when you use this technique, there is, you set it up once, you set it up twice, then there is no misdirection in that. Because once the character is unmasked, they will say the truth.
Right.
So now you believe in that. So that's also part of the psychological play. Because the other way of approaching it is every character lies. Then you are confusing the viewer,
Yeah.
and the viewer will step out of Sakrai's character and look at it dispassionately.
Correct.
So it is like this, like you have a problem with a friend, and the problem isn't going and challenging the friend. But once you go and challenge the friend, what the friend says, you assume to be true.
True.
So that is the model which we use. We say the difficulty is in
Just
taking
that step,
finding out who that person
Yeah.
is. Once you reach that person, if the person, what he says is the truth, then you are taking the story forward. So for which you need good actors to say something which
Yeah.
convey itself as the truth in the smallest of things, in the look of the eye, so that like there is no he's lying kind of thing.
Yeah.
So these are tools which you use to create the mental world of the script,
Right.
where everything is a balance between truth and truth to be found. So when you start balancing these, you get that psychological.
But this is a
depth.
theme that you love anyway, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
even
yeah,
in your
yeah,
films,
this
I
is
feel even in your films, this is a common thread.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's always about the fight is not between, I feel like, the good or the bad. It's between, like you said, the truth and truth to be found. Like there's something true in everything that
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
those are things which are there in our base beliefs. So
Yeah, it
whatever we
reflects in
write,
all
yeah,
your
yeah,
projects
yeah.
as well. It's like a
And
common
those are
thread.
things
Yeah.
which we believe. Like
Yeah.
we believe actually in face value. We don't try to overthink about what
Yeah.
somebody is saying. Hey, if you're taking so much effort to lie to me, means that you have bigger problems than I have. So I will take
So,
you at face
like,
value. Responsibility is
a lot
yours.
of times, somebody will say, oh, he's acting like a good person to you, but he's not. As long as he's acting, the pressure is on him to act for the rest of his life to be good. So, okay, if
That's
he's
a
acting,
very
it's
good
okay,
way of
yeah,
looking
yeah.
at it.
So,
So,
it's
Why
like,
take pressure?
On
Let
us,
them
why
be
is it-
simple, yeah.
Why sit
See,
and
he's
analyze
acting.
somebody's mind?
He's acting good or very good. Okay, let him act.
But you are not analyzing someone else's mind, but through your work, you leave it to the audience to analyze. Like for us, we are analyzing not the minds, but the situation.
Huh.
And I think that is very interesting for us.
So one of the things which we believe is not keeping the locus of validation internal. So we won't be writing stories where somebody is trying to find validation for who they are. It is
Right.
that they have a validation
They know
and they
who they
might
are,
grow from that, or they
Right.
might fall from that. But the search is not an external search.
I mean, they
it's not like
assume that, see, Sakra, when he starts,
Yeah.
he assumes he's right.
Yeah.
So then
That's
he's
why he
not
was very
searching
self-righteous.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not
he's
looking.
not searching for that,
Correct.
Then life gives you some things and then you discover stuff. So.
And then you evolve instead of just being rigid and being like, no, this is the only way to be. I mean, that
So this
is-
psychological
yeah.
thing, you can either go with an unreliable narrator kind of
Yeah.
thing. So we've gone the other way around. So because we are going through Sakra.
yeah.
And actually, we don't want no spoilers. So Nandini is also, we are looking at through Nandini a bunch of characters.
Right.
So, so if you're going that way, writing way is like, okay, when they say, you believe that, you know, because then if you start considering each person an unreliable narrator, then there's no progress.
But tell me, even with casting, I believe the first time when you all did this, the first season, I mean, there must be people who weren't perhaps sure how this is going to go, because, you know, this is the first time you were doing it, the first time a Tamil language original was being created here, right? Now that, I mean, awards, and after all of the adulation that came and praise from not just the critiques but also the audience, was casting for other people, supporting cast in this season slightly more easier?
See, actually, supporting cast has never been an issue. It's the leads, which is the problem. I mean, luckily, I mean, Kadir and Aishwarya from season 1.
That's why I didn't include them.
No, but we are doing other shows, no? So that has actually become easier. So like we've been talking to a bunch of like people with, you know, who are in flavor and like who are doing interesting work in movies and all, and that has actually eased out, you know, because they see that, I mean, like actually Vadanti season 1, S.J. Surya sir was there. So he actually saw how his fan base, I mean, he has a huge fan base. I mean, he's played the bad man for a long time also. And he acts in a certain way. I mean, he's pitched loud, and that's also part of his charm. So in Vadanti, he was like, you know, pitched differently. And he was a righteous cop. And he was very happy because it got him a lot of female fans. Which, you know, so like, and they spread the word, you know, actors when they get positive traction out of it, they spread the word. So right now it has become easier, but not fully there. Not fully there.
In a large, I mean, to a large extent, I think in Hindi it has been happening for much longer. In Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, it's
last
22, 2 years, 3 years.
So, baby steps.
For us to get like a mainstream hero.
I was just going to ask you that.
So that is still, I think, a couple of years away. It's not going to happen right now. Hopefully, when Suzhal 2 releases and whatever is lined up for this year among the platforms releases, that opening up of this being a way to see, one of the things which the bigger heroes, bigger in the sense that who have a market presence and all that, what they tell us in their private is that what do I get out of this? So because in long form storytelling, usually the focus is on the story. In cinema, the focus is to a large extent on the protagonist. Forget about the hero. It is on the hero of the story, the protagonist of the story. Here we are pulling in a lot of threads, balancing it out so that you get a three-dimensional story. So there will naturally be a reluctance. But when you start seeing that the character connects and that people talk about that character, like everybody's talking about Jaideep. So, like when those things happen, then it starts becoming easier for the mainstream.
It's a slow process. I mean, it is better than what it was earlier, but it is a slow process.
But is there a difference between when you, because like you said, A-lister big hero versus also A-lister big heroines there as well? Is it easier to approach a heroine
No, actually,
versus...
both ways. I mean, for another show also. See, and I think it's like, you know, fair enough. I mean, as in, see, like Suzhal, there are like a whole bunch of characters. But we had another, I mean, which we are producing, which was like a very, very one character kind of thing. Still, there was reluctance, you know, they, like somewhere there's one little apprehension that if I go that way, will I get branded or will I not be able to come back to film? So that little bit of that apprehension is there. I guess it'll take a few more years.
But I think it's all moving in the right direction. It's another year or so, I think we can see those names also coming in. But then again, the problem might be then what happens to the younger actors who are willing to do challenging stories. Will storytelling then become conditional to the big stars coming in? So it's a thing which Amazon Prime also balances out. Like they try to get a big star to do certain shows, but then certain shows will be based on, okay, for this story, who's the right choice? So I think it's a the ecosystem has to work in sync so that
True.
both of it happens.
And you know, if we can pull off stories without getting big stars also, no,
Absolutely.
it's a good thing. So
And
both ways.
every story doesn't need a big star.
True.
But certain stories will work only if you
If
have,
you
a,
have
big
a big star, yeah.
So that is the balance which you have to find.
Yeah.
with. It's-
But does it become easier for both of you because you have a credibility in the industry?
We have access. I mean, we
Yeah.
can actually meet anybody, pitch anything, and
Yeah.
like you know, there's usually they're pretty eager to work. So beyond that, you know, like it has to work for them, as in their larger career moves and stuff
True,
like that.
true.
So that yeah, but that access is
But
always.
we also start off with, like, when we were taking our Vikram Vedha film around, initially it's like, no, all our friends advised us, guys, getting a hero on board itself
Yeah,
is tough.
true.
You were saying that you want two people,
people.
and both of them don't know if they're good or bad. So,
And Tamil actually, I mean, Hindi at least has done multiple heroes for a long time.
Yeah.
Tamil,
They have usually
they don't,
reluctant.
yeah, you're not very happy with.
So this
Sharing
one,
experience,
I mean, Aishwarya is a sport and she's part of the process and all that. But when she first read, oh, there are 8 other girls.
Younger.
Then she read it and said, okay. It's fine. Otherwise, her face just dropped.
But it must be a challenge for you all to also go approach an actor knowing that they will have these questions, and you kind of need to navigate your way through, because you know that eventually, because there is always an if they read the script, they will be convinced. But that if is the
Yeah, but
underlining
yeah,
thing.
we'll take that punt. We'll
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
take
yeah.
it to whoever.
And
See,
then whoever is ready
their
to
thing. I
listen.
mean,
Yeah.
that's
So
their
one thing is,
decision.
no, I think building the relationship so that if a no happens, it doesn't mean that no is for life. So
True.
if there's
Then
something
there's-
else which you can take to them,
Yeah.
so I think that relationship we have managed to build over.
Of course.
Because see, like, it's a professional thing. We
And
send
it's
the
nothing
script,
personal. I mean, we also
True.
don't take it the wrong way. Okay.
so
this
we
doesn't
won't be
work
like
for
super
you, fine,
upset and
okay.
like
Yeah.
curse that person
Now
to the rest
we'll
of the
never
world.
work
Saying like, oh, what did I
Let's
say?
come back with something which works for both
Yeah,
of us.
true,
And
true,
they're also
absolutely.
relieved. Okay, so it's not like, you know, you hate me and my parents and all, no? So it's all good. It's like,
No, it's all professional.
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think one needs to remember that.
yeah.
Like,
So you
even though we
step
are
out for a
creative people.
beer and say, okay, hopefully next time it works. Guys.
We all take cues from you. Beer is the thing. We always discuss everything over that. But lastly, now I want to know from you, what next? Of course, we are looking forward to Suzhal 2. There are so many things which are already in production from both of you. But is there something that is still something that you're writing, which is like an ambitious project right now for
Yeah,
you?
Yeah,
because,
yeah,
for our
absolutely.
feature film, finally, one story has cracked.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
you asked us this last time also.
But
like-
that time you did not have anything.
didn't have
you told
anything.
me that you're still working
So
on it.
we were
yeah.
working on something.
Yeah.
You know, what we started at that point, this
Now
would
it
have been
is-
end of 2022. Now it has cracked.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll be taking that forward.
Okay.
And it's pretty ambitious, yeah.
Yeah?
Hugely ambitious.
You want to
yeah,
give me
yeah.
a hint?
And
Is it
no,
like a
we are not talking about it. But our association with Amazon Prime is also going forward with a couple of more
Yeah,
projects
yeah.
with them. And I think those are all series. So that long form storytelling, we've
Yeah.
got multiple projects which will be hopefully announced
Yeah.
soon, and that is exciting. Then our writing, our directing will
So
take its
you've
own
been
course.
so cautious, I can see that. But I'm really looking forward to that big announcement as well. Because, of course, I mean, series is a great way to do everything creatively, because I think you kind of get to experiment a lot more creatively on OTT. But also films, I mean, we
Yeah, yeah.
also want
See,
to
Oh,
see
that
you-
one also huge
Yeah.
experimentation.
We
is
are
gonna
heavy-
Yeah,
happen.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm trying to dig in a little more. You can drop in some hints so that we know
We are
what it is.
heavily invested in the fact that the cinematic experience,
Yeah.
the theatrical experience shouldn't go away.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like one win, one lose kind of scenario. All these will coexist. I mean, you will have the theatrical experience,
Yeah.
you'll have the TV experience, and you'll have the OTT experience. And there is enough mind space for all this. And
Yeah.
now we have the fourth player, which is really short form reels and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
is also taking the mind space of
True,
people,
true.
right? And I think all of them can exist in a certain way. We just need to be carefully planned on how is it going to be 2 years, 3 years down the line.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff are people going to watch on OTT? What is write for television, which
True.
is regimented, this time watching,
Yeah.
and while this is free form watching,
Yeah.
and theatrical, which is even more regimented.
Yeah.
It's a captive audience.
True.
Versus the least regimented, which is scrolling through reels.
Yeah.
So all these are going to exist. Like when somebody is traveling, they would rather watch reels than watch one episode.
Absolutely.
But if you're taking a longer trip, say you're going by train and it is a 4-hour journey, you
Yeah.
might want to watch the remaining 3 episodes of a series which you've been
You
traveling.
read our minds.
So this is the kind of conversations which
Yeah.
need to happen within the industry, saying like, hey, it's all healthy. All
Yeah.
viewing is healthy. Let's just have
As many numbers
We are,
and
they are
streams as we
storytellers,
have,
so
that's
yeah,
right.
let's adapt and
Yeah.
tell stories in all forms and formats.
And I think that we kind of, it reflects, this entire mindset reflects on your storytelling and your narratives, because there's no sense of rigidness there. There's a sense of flow and flexibility, which also reflects in storytelling. So firstly, no, this is lastly. Thank you so much for your time and all the very best for Suzhal.
Thank
I
you.
hope that we sit again like this for the 3rd season, and before that you also announce your film, because I'm really looking forward to that.
Will do,
Thank you
will
so
do.
much.
Sure,
Thank you.
Super.